Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking you through 10 new releases for July, August and September. So this is a video series that I do quarterly where I look at the upcoming releases for the next 3 months. I do have a playlist of all of the previous instalments of this because I have been doing it for a little while now, so if you want to look back on some of the new releases that came out earlier this year or even in 2022, then I will link that down below. But for right now, let's dive into some of the future releases that are coming out in the next few months. So looking at July, and an author that has been in every anticipated releases for this year is Brandon Sanderson has another book coming out. Who would have thought it with all of his secret projects? So Brandon Sanderson's Secret Project 3 is coming out for those that participated in the Kickstarter. So on the 1st of July, that book will be released for them as a Kindle. For those of us that did not participate, then as a ebook, it comes out on the 11th of July. I will not dive too much into detail of that. I found out that people don't really want to know anything about the secret projects until the secret project is released, not even the name of it. I find it a little bit weird, but each their own. I won't dive into it. If you are like me and have not been part of the Kickstarter, really paying too much attention to the secret project, Secret Project 2 does come out in hardback in July as well. On the 18th of July is the scheduled release date for right now. So many a Brandon Sanderson thing. I still need to read Trust of the Emerald Sea, Secret Project 1. I'm not even thinking about 2 and 3 yet. So still need to do 1, still need to buy 1, still need to do anything to do with 1. And I haven't as yet, but that will be coming out. I believe this one is set in the Cosmere because I think it was that 3 of the 4 projects were Cosmere related and 1, which was Secret Project 2, was not. So back in the Cosmere yet again, which is Brandon Sanderson's universe. Then on the 18th of July, the Jasad Heir comes out by Zara Hashem. This is a debut novel in the start of I think it's a fantasy trilogy. So I will just read the first bit of it. In this Egyptian-inspired debut fantasy, a fugitive queen strikes a deadly bargain with her greatest enemy and finds herself embroiled in a complex game that could resurrect her scorched kingdom or leave it in ashes forever. 10 years ago, the kingdom of Jasad burned, its magic outlawed, its royal family murdered, down to the last child. At least that's what Sylvia wants people to believe. So I think she is this lost heir that is trying to reclaim her kingdom, or queendom as it might be now. So I won't continue to dive too much into the synopsis, but I will link all of the Goodreads pages down below if you want to look at these in any more detail. I love an Egyptian-inspired fantasy. Well, I love the David Bat trilogy, so I have a soft spot for like Egyptian-inspired fantasy because of my absolute adoration of the David Bat trilogy. I do need to try and read some more, potentially this one, but very, very intrigued by this. Also, on the 18th of July, Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong is coming out. This is the start of a new series by her. I don't know how many books are planned for it. And it's her adult debut. She's written a few YA books. I've not read any Chloe Gong. Her first books, what were they called? These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends were sort of like the Romeo and Juliet retelling. And I just have a thing that I don't really like Romeo and Juliet. I mean, obviously I know the story, but it just drives me up. It just like I think it brings out the worst side of me. Like, I don't really like a sad ending. I like things to be bittersweet, but it's just ridiculous. It's just melodramatic. They're like 11 years old. I mean, they're just kids, and I don't know. I haven't been too interested in them. That's the end of it. That's just the short of it. I haven't really been too interested in it, and I do wonder how adult this book will be based on what I've read of the synopsis. And I think I'm going to sneeze at some point, so prepare yourselves for a sneeze. And it is a competition-based story. So we've got one who's entering to kill the king, one who is trying to save a childhood love, and because whoever wins this competition wins a prize or wins something of their choosing, but it's a very brutal game and it's a game to the death. It does sound quite generic. Don't want to be hating on it. Potentially that may be because I'm currently reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which again has this like enter into this trial to the death type thing. And maybe this is just a very popular trope that people enjoy. I mean, I definitely do enjoy it because I feel as though it does ramp up the action, that you can continuously turn the pages to find out what's going to happen next, because it's quite action heavy being in a trial competition based scenario. So I feel like it is potentially the thing right now. Like, that is the trope of 2023. Then at the end of July, on the 25th, The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacruz comes out. This is a lush world inspired by the history and folklore of South America, a sweeping epic fantasy of colonialism, ancient magic, and two young women's quest for belonging unfolds. I think we're following, these two young women, one is called Reina and one is called Eva. Reina ends up getting attacked and is near death, but ends up getting saved by a dark sorceress, and she's now dependent on her magic to survive. And then Eva is illegitimate and of mixed heritage, and she's hiding secret that she has magic, and magic is seen as evil and dangerous in this world. The taglines on it are fantasy, LGBTQ, and romance. So I feel like there's going to be a romance between these two people. In the synopsis, it doesn't say how they come into contact, so I am wondering how that's going to unfold. But I do, like with Egyptian inspired fantasy, I'm really interested in sort of the South American inspired fantasies as well, and I don't feel like we really have had enough of them. I know that I read Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Marina Garcia, but I don't feel as though I've read that many South American inspired fantasies. There probably are some out there, I just haven't found them as yet. So interested in that one as well. Then moving into August, T. Kingfisher has a book coming out called Thornhedge on the 15th. I feel like this is her third book of the year. She is very prolific. She's very good at continuously writing and having different genres coming out. So this is her latest fantasy, and I do believe this is a novella, so it's probably going to be quite quick to read. And it sounds like a fairy tale retelling, or taking tropes that we know in fairy tales, taking a fairy tale that we know and sort of twisting it. So it says, Thornhedge is a tale of a kind-hearted, toad-shaped heroine, a gentle knight, and a mission gone completely sideways. So our main character is meet Toadling. I don't know, I'm assuming she's shaped like a toad, which sounds a bit funny, but Toadling, who was stolen from her family by the fairies and has been sent back into the human world with a task. And then centuries later, a knight approaches a tearing wall of brambles where thorns are as thick as your arm and as sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadling will do anything to uphold. So it sounds like it's twisting the maybe the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale. I feel like this would be quite a lot of fun. It sounds like it's going to be a fun time. On the 17th of August, Labyrinth's Heart comes out. This is the third and final book in the Rook and Rose trilogy. I have loved and really thoroughly enjoyed The Mask of Mirrors and The Lies Not, which was books 1 and 2. And I'm very much anticipating the third book, and so this would be a perfect time to get on board and read the trilogy, because the third book's going to be here. You won't need to wait any longer, and you can just dive in and read the whole thing. So the first book, The Mask of Mirrors, is a Venetian inspired setting, and we're following a main character who is infiltrating the ruling families there. She's trying to con them, get money, and then leave, but she actually falls in with them and realises that the family that she has tried to con don't actually have that much money, and they are just faking it. Yeah, and it's got a really interesting magic system. There's tarot cards, there's lots to do with dreaming and lack of sleep, I guess, for some people. And I'm really, really excited to do my reread, because I found them very engaging reads when I read them for the first time, and I feel like I'm going to get even more out of them for the second time, and then be able to go into the third book, which just fills me with excitement. It fills me with a lot of excitement. As a sort of bonus, just because it is already released, but it's getting re-released with a new edition, The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon is coming out on the 22nd of August, so it isn't a new book, but it is getting a 10th anniversary special edition, which looks really nice. And I do know that Samantha Shannon has gone back through and re-edited the book with the 10 plus years of experience that she now has. And I have read The Bone Season, and I read it when it came out, and I loved it. I read The Bone Season and The Mime Order, and then I had to wait ages for the third one, and I didn't end up reading it when I probably should have done. And now it's been so long that I do want to go back and reread the series to be able to continue on with it, although I'm trying to time that for when maybe potentially more of it is out, so that I don't end up starting it, rereading, and then having to go back through and continue to reread as I wait for more books to come out. But with this edition coming out, that's going to be the new and revised version, it does make me think maybe I should put The Bone Season back on the table to reread and continue the series, because I did love it. Then moving into September, on the 19th of September, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid comes out. This is her newest release, and I believe this steps away from her previous releases. So she wrote The Wolf and the Woodsman, there it is. So she wrote The Wolf and the Woodsman, which is like a quite dark fantasy with like grimdark romance elements in it as well, so a bit of a weird juxtaposition. This, I believe, is a dark academia story, which definitely intrigues me. So in this, we're following main character Effie, who has always believed in fairy tales and has loved a book by a particular author, which is about a mortal girl who falls in love with the fairy king and then destroys him. Following the author's death, the author's family announced a competition which she enters, and then we're following her and another student who are rivals as they investigate the reclusive author's legacy and piece together clues. There are dark forces, both mortal and magical, conspiring against them, and the truth may bring them both to ruin. So intrigued, very, very intrigued, and I definitely do hope to get to this as it's an arc ahead of its release in September. Then on the 21st of September, Upon a Frosted Star by M.A. Kuzniar comes out. I really liked Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuzniar, which I read last year, which is a Nutcracker retelling. This again, I think, has a slightly wintry theme to it. The invitations always arrive the same way, without warning, appearing around the city on the first snowfall of the year, simply inscribed with "Tonight." When struggling artist forced to find an invitation, he's bewitched by the magic of the evening, swept up in the glamour of this notorious annual party, and intrigued as to who is behind them. Determined to find out more about the mysterious host, Forster discovers an abandoned manor house, silent with secrets, and a cursed woman who is desperate to be free. It's a spellbinding literary fairy tale that's The Great Gatsby meets Swan Lake. Very intrigued. I loved the writing in Midnight in Everwood. I could not put that book down. I really couldn't. I was 40% in, and then I was 90% in, and suddenly the book was over. I was like, where did that book go? It just vanished. That was my experience with that one, so I really hope I get the same experience with this one. And it does, although it's coming out in September, it does sound quite wintry with snow in the description, so maybe I'll have to save it for winter. But then on the 26th of September, The Fragile Threads of Power is released. This is by V.E. Schwab and is set in the same world as the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. So I haven't looked too much into the synopsis. I don't know if this is... I don't know how much this continues on the story of A Darker Shade of Magic, if it's got the same characters making an appearance, if it's new characters just set in the same world. I really have not looked into it. I did really love the A Darker Shade of Magic, the Shades of Magic trilogy. I have it right here. I read it quite a few years ago now, and I probably would need to reread this before reading this next series by V. Schwab. If it's following the same characters, if it's different characters in the same world, then maybe I could dive right in. But my memories of these is a little bit foggy. I loved them, but it's gone a little bit foggy now. But in this world, there are like multiple Londons, and certain people are able to jump between them. So there's like Grey London, which is the London that we know, the one that I live in. Then there's Red London, where magic is thriving and is just flourishing. Then there's White London, where I think magic is dying out and it's traumatic to be there. And I think there was Black London, which is gone, dead, in the void. And certain people were able to jump between these different Londons and different worlds. I really love that concept. I wish I could walk through a door in London and walk through a wall and be able to get into a magical world. Wish that was the case. Isn't, unfortunately. Unless you know that it exists, then please tell me, because I would love to do that. I've been anticipating this probably since I read the Darker Shade of Magic series, and then I've gone and promptly forgotten so many elements of that series because it's been so long since I've read them now. And then as well, coming out on the 26th of September, Josiah Bancroft is starting a new series, the first book being The Hexologist, which is following a married couple who team up to solve magical and odd mysteries. I think that's where I will just leave it. There is a much fuller synopsis, but that sounds intriguing enough. I enjoyed mostly the Sen and the Ascends series. I didn't really like the final book, but I enjoyed quite a bit of the journey. Book 2 was my favourite. So it wasn't an all-time favourite, so I think I would wait to see what people said about this. I mean, that plot sounds intriguing. It sounds quite quirky. It does sound quirky, combining the elements of like fantasy and mystery and probably magic. That is my final book for books coming out in this quarter. Let me know if there are any that I have missed and any that you are really looking forward to over the next 3 months. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!